your flesh and blood.
Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and it's great to have you with us, as well as a returning guest to our program. It's always a pleasure to have folks who have been on the program before to talk to us more about the work that they are doing. And today is no exception. Today we have Dr. Paul L. Hanna with us here on the program. He's a master healer teacher. And I could go through the entire listing here of all of his accomplishments, all of the things that he's done and learned, but then we'd have to wrap the program up because the show would be over. But we're going to let him share with us. And welcome back, Paul. It's great to have you with us.
No, it's superb. Thank you with much gratitude for asking me to come back. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, you study in an area and a region that I find fascinating, primarily because the healing arts, shall we say,
Yes.
from, and I'm never sure exactly what term to use, from the Orient, from Asia, from China, from that part of the world that's 5,000 years old, and then some.
I would say it's also Africa and India, that all those countries there, they all have a degree of healing that's can enhance the allopathic method of healing. So
there's no FDA though. There's no ruling body that says, we approve this. No, we don't approve this. Because the people who were practicing these healing arts in all of these different areas that you're talking about, they just knew that it worked because it did.
It does. It still does. It works, and so forth. It's not that kind of control like we have here. Sometimes they control also limit the ability to really heal in a holistic fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have so many specialists: cardiologists, nephrologists, hematologists, oncologists. They all specialize. It all kind of like separate the body. And what I like about the ancient, I call it ancient healing. That's include all of them. It's holistic. Your whole person. Mr. Dugan is a whole person. It's not someone to send his eyes or his ears, his heart, the complete being. So if you really want to do a complete diagnostic, look at the whole person, listen to the whole person. Listen and seeing, including is very powerful in terms of realigning people back to their radiant whole, called healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that I think is kind of where we're going to start. I happen to be a Reiki master.
Yes.
And in my teachings, in the lessons that I took along with my wife, they taught us primarily that when you are accessing this healing energy and you are sending it through yourself as a conduit, it's not your energy, it's the energy of the universe, shall we say. You send it, whether it be directly to the person who is in front of you or absentee, as they teach us. You do not put any intention on it other than that it be used for that individual or situation's highest good, that the universe, determines, so to speak. And so you basically are using this, I'll call it a tool, and allowing the individual and the universe to determine how it will be used. And I had a firsthand experience of this, sending an absentee healing to my uncle, my father's brother, and he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Now, we didn't send it to him to heal him, to get rid of the cancer. We sent it to him to use as he saw fit. And he used it, went to have a time of closure with his son, and then shortly thereafter, he passed. Now, I was shared this story by my mother at the funeral, as a matter of fact, or shortly thereafter. And so that gets us into the area of discussing the subject of what is healing, because healing to some is getting rid of the dis-ease, or in his case, getting the cancer to go away, to go into remission and disappear. But that didn't happen. And I don't feel, and I didn't then, I don't now feel badly because, oh my God, he died and it didn't work. but it did, because he was able to do some things that he wanted to do with the energy that he had left. So talk to us about what the definition of healing really is, or maybe that's the wrong word.
I think it's that word is a little bit different. Let's go back a little bit in regards to, I call it realignment, and that realignment is coming back to that radiant whole. So each person, remember, every soul have two things: free will and choice. I don't know the previous energy from the previous life, what, let's say, your uncle had.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's why we don't send things directly to the person, because we don't want to try to like make this happen. They have a free will to accept it from the universe or from whoever. So once you can purify yourself to that point, get out of your ego to say, like, I'm a conduit for transmitting this pure energy that has the ability to bring you back to resolving the cancer. We know that, but that might not be the intentionality of the person receiving that. You understand? So they must come to a point of peace within themselves. That peace might be healing for them. That underlying peace. Do you have peace? But we looking out for what about? Did they resolve the cancer? Did they resolve the tumor? Whatever it is, that is our definition. Is it their definition? Some people do have that definition. Therefore, the cancer does resolve. For them, that is that. So, but I'm saying, bring it back to your radiant whole where you are personally is a form for healing, a realignment that I call it for me. That's how I call it.
You know, what's interesting too is that many people, more and more people, are beginning to understand that, and I think of that in terms of my late father, who just recently passed. He was 91 years old, and a year ago at this time, he lost his eldest daughter, my eldest sister, and he wasn't the same. And he basically would tell my mother, I don't want to be here. I really don't. Now, my father was very healthy, even though he had low vision, a low hearing, and he had a little trouble walking. But other than that, you know, his metabolism, he was doing great, you know. And so she jokingly said, okay, so what are you going to die of? Well, what apparently eventually took his life, or what he used, if you will, to transition, and that's an interesting way of looking at it, I guess, is that in the last days of his life, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's and dementia. And then what was so beautiful was that my mother, and some of the other relatives, sister and so forth, they sat around his bed, sitting down in chairs, singing to him all kinds of different songs. And as my mother put it, and I love this, they sang him up to heaven.
Yes. Okay.
And now he's free. And now he's with my eldest daughter, my eldest sister, I should say. And what's interesting is that, of course, I know that soul as my father. And I had some tears over his departure, sure, certainly. But at the same time, I also recognize that he had a mission. He had what he was here to do, and he brought into this world 6 other souls who basically were have accomplished so much that he was very proud of, and told us very, very often of that. Do you think that people, when they are in that place of dis-ease, discomfort, and so forth, and they're looking for healing, they come to you and so forth, they lose sight of that just by being here, you're making a difference by your energy and so forth, because each one of us has that. Can you share with us a little bit about that, especially from the context of your being a universal, as they say, door opener?
Yes. I think that what I talked about on other shows in regards that we all came here for a purpose. Let's say you selected your father and your mother to be a con to bring you down to get your earthly lessons, and you're supposed to learn something and teach something from them. We all have our mission. We all have our thumbprint. Out of the 8 billion people, no one have Mr. Duke and thumbprint except him. So you have a special mission, a special gift to show to this earth. And sometimes when we become aware of that, some people say, I did mine already. And I'm ready to go. And so some people, that's what happens. So I talk about that quite frequently in my office as well. Some people come in with traumatic loss. Someone got a gunshot wound, someone died, someone in a car accident. So to get them to understand that the soul is here, you had a short term to learn. What did you learn from it? That was their contract. They went out. What did you learn from this person? What you learn from that person is going to help you become a better person, shine more light on this earth right now. In regards to your father, it seemed like he did do that. He said, listen, I don't did this. I don't, they here, my son here, my daughter's here. They can shine more light. I don't did my part. And I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? So the question is, each person I help with that, they come to peace with that. Reality is, what are you doing while you're here in the present? What are you doing in the present? When you
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, the universe wake you up, the divine breath, which is the divine breath. I like to know, what are you thinking? Are you thinking about being present and vibrating your divine light? Are you thinking about on the ego side, worries, this and that? Make a choice. If you get off into worry and this and that, you call it some dis-ease, as they call it. You cause it stagnation, inflammation, and you call it dis-ease. You have a choice in your breath and your thought as to what you're going to do each day. And when you do that, you're taking total control as how you want to project yourself. So I encourage people to be present. I encourage people to look at, why are you here? What's your purpose? How are you expanding you? How are you expanding the universe? And when you do that, when people go to transition, when they go to transition, are you up to date with them? Were you up to date with them? A lot of time when I see people at funerals, they hollering and crying, I say, what is it? Is it about you? Is it about them? What you didn't do, you could have done, or you wasn't up to date. So when I deal with grief with that, because people come with heart problems, a lot of it's grief. They're in pain because they didn't do what they could have. Now the person's in the spirit world, they're crying over that. It's a crying because what you didn't do. You got to forgive yourself and move forward to the nowness. Be present, live love, live light, so you can help move forward.
Well, the thing that I love about this is that for myself, and I like to share this with others, and I know you as well, as a healer, a living life teacher. Not the fact that you are living, but though you are living your life, but you are wanting people to live their lives, and that's what you teach as well as a universal laws practitioner, holistic healer, spiritual qigong master.
Yes.
I mean, and then of course you are also a toxic energy healer,
Yes.
which is rather interesting. There's so many different terminologies that one can use, and so I just marvel at what I've learned in that. First of all, when it comes to our healing, our health, our wellness,
Yes.
whatever condition we are challenged with, it's temporary. Case in point for myself.
Yes.
3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
I beat it in a month and a half. I now, it's not that I've forgotten. I still have the tester. Yes, I still use the one that you prick your finger, and it doesn't bother me. It's no big deal. I'm not going to lose gallons of blood here, but I still monitor it just because I want to make sure that I'm maintaining. And of course, I haven't had a soda since July of 2020, and so forth and so on. Now I'm still dealing with this whole issue of high blood pressure, but then I have to wonder sometimes, well, maybe because I'm an individual, doc, maybe that's where mine is. That's where mine resides, because we're all different. Mine isn't supposed to be 120/80 all the time. What about that in terms of, yes, we have the general statistics, but then we have the individual actual numbers, shall we say, whether it's blood pressure, whether it's blood sugar, whatever it is you're testing. How do you address the individual? Do you kind of push aside this whole conversation of, well, in general, according to the statistics, and so forth and so on?
Yes. Let me go back to something you said earlier in regards to treating the toxic energy.
Yes.
The best thing, what I deal with in regards to that is the most powerful love medicine I call is love. So love neutralizes and transforms all toxicity. So I get people to, you talked about how you like and love yourself. You said you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You said,
Mhm.
okay, what's the motivation for Mr. Dugan having that discipline? What gave him the desire to do what's necessary? Because so many of my patients come in, they have type 2. They have the, and they also have high blood pressure. They don't have the desire or the discipline to be consistent to bring it down. So you must tell yourself you need to design discipline and like yourself to be able to work within the universal law to make it manifest back to a range of health for you. Now, talking about in regards to do I look at levels? The average allopathic physician look at levels. I do not. I look at levels, but I also look at individuals. A patient came in yesterday in my office, and I read in her face, I know she had a thyroid problem, not a thyroid disease. She had features or tendency of hypothyroidism. She's cold, she's weak, and I said, wow. Her regular physician said her T3 wasn't normal. That's how you measure the, I mean, like the thyroid T3, T4, and TSH. Hers was
Mhm.
normal. I don't believe in normal. I don't believe in normal.
Mhm.
I believe in optimal. Let's say the range is like 2.5 to 4, but she's a low normal is 2 or 3. I said, maybe you should be what 4. Maybe you might almost be at 5, then you feel normal. Because that 5 might be out of range of the norm, but it's good for you. So what you're talking about, individualized treatment. I do believe in individualized treatment versus this is normal.
Mhm.
Every person is different. As I said earlier, everyone have a different thumbprint. You got to be able to read the energy of their person, look at what's going on for them. If they teach you in medical school, if you really, really listen to the patient, they can tell you what's wrong. Don't look at just levels. Listen to the patient. Listen with your physical ear, listen with your heart. Listen to them. They can diagnose themselves if you really listen. So I believe in optimal, which means it goes beyond the normal range because it's not a normal thing. It's an individualized thing. That's what
Mhm.
I do. Yeah, it's individualized. And we all came here to individualize to our own unique self.
Yeah.
So everyone, once you individualize, you can harmonize. Most people does not never individualize, so therefore they always conforming to something outside of them. To they raise their family, whatever, but doesn't mean that it match you. Who are you? Who are you, Hannah? Who are you, Dugan? Who are
Mhm.
you? What are you? And so, and whatever I am a cosmic agent. I'm source, but within source, I know I'm different, but yet connected to everything out there. And I'm motivated by love. But you got to individualize to who you are. When every person individualize and utilize their gift, we have something. We have a flow. I have
Mm.
this thing called shine, glow, flow. Shine like the sun, glow like the moon, and flow like water. It's a nice rhythm and rhyme, but really it's universal laws. Mr. Duke, when everybody have the courage to have sunshine love, then there's no ism, sexism, racism, political, it's on because the sun shine on everybody regardless. Everybody gets
Yeah.
sun. Everybody get love. There's no difference. We came from the same source. When you can glow like the moon, you say, well, I'm a doctor. So what? So what? I'm a lawyer. So what? Those are intellectual problems. It's fantastic. But unless you balance your emotional, mental, spiritual, physical body, you're not balanced yet. So when you balance all those bodies, you can glow like the moon. Being
Yeah.
like water, water by nature, and by nature, everything moves forward, not backwards. Everything grows by nature. So when
Yeah.
you can flow, when you flow and you're moving forward, you don't have no resentment. You don't have no kinks. You flow around it with love. And water's flowing down. Water can purify, amplify, unify. So shine, flow, go is a very powerful thing for people to incorporate into their subconscious mind. Let it direct them. When you wake up in the morning, you say, you know what? I was waking by the divine breath here. I have breath. What am I going to think about? Am I going to shine, go, flow? Am I going to get up some attitudes or something? Attitudes, call it stagnation. So I'm saying to you, we all have free choice and a free will.
Yeah.
So the big thing is to individualize to your uniqueness. We are all beautiful, strong people. Just look at you. You have your own thumbprint. You have beauty. You have strength. You have a gift. What is it? How are you using it? Are you using to be like someone else? Are you being yourself for the greater good?
Yeah. We're talking with Dr. Paul Hanna, and you are listening to Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and it's a pleasure to have you with us again, Dr. Hanna, talking about all of these different aspects of health. And in terms of this aspect of normal versus optimal, and I love that. I think that's a wonderful distinction. That's what I want is my optimal health, not normal health. My father lived to be 91. I'm 63. I hope that I can outlive him. I made a promise back in 1995. We were at the family reunion and also the birthday celebration of my then great grandmother, who I stand corrected. I think it was earlier than that, but she was 95. And I said, I'm going to outlive her, but she's making it really hard. And she lived to be 100. Well, I want to live to be at least, but I want to go beyond that. And I want to continue doing what I am doing and maybe something more. So I that's one of the things that I found so fascinating with my physician when he told me this news. And I was a little bummed out there for about 30 minutes. And he's telling me all this stuff. And, oh, Richard, it's going to be a long, hard road, Richard. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Tells me this story of one guy who had the same condition and took him 6 months to get his blood sugar under control and so forth. And I'm sitting there, once I get past that little bummed out phase, I'm going, no, it's not going to take me that long. No, it's not going to be a long, hard road because I know how I got here. And
Fantastic.
it was shortly after, we shut down the country due to the virus that was spreading. And of course, what did everybody turn to, including my wife and I? Comfort foods. Well, what's in comfort foods? Sugars and carbs, which turn into sugars. And so number one, sodas off the table. Haven't had one since. I found an alternative. And then I was, as I said before, I'm monitoring and so forth. And month and a half later, boom, I'm done. And he had given me this medication, standard medication. I want you to take 2 of these every day. We'll see how things go. So I did for about a week and a half, and I'm monitoring, and it's going down. I'm going down to 1 because I really don't want to be on this stuff long term. So I went down to 1. My blood sugar kept going down. All right. So when I went to see him in February the following year, I'd seen him between those times, but he checked the blood sugar. Oh, looks good. Looks good. Why don't you cut it down to 1? At which point I stopped altogether taking the stuff, right? Blood sugar was still normal. And I saw absolutely no reason to, and I haven't told him this. I haven't told him. There's no reason for me to, because my health and well-being is it is his business because that's why I went to him in the first place. But that by the same token, how I take care of myself. And again, using the word that you just described, seeking optimal health.
Yes.
Optimal health.
Yes. And that is key. I like 2 things you just said here, this showed to me you above the 4th chakra, because you said, I'm responsible for my health. You said, my health, my happiness, my responsibility. You're totally 1,000% correct. So many people that go to allopathic physician, they are at the 3rd or below chakra. They want people to take care of them, tell them what to do and how to do. You understand? You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I want to make sure that people understand having a desire to make yourself happy, take responsibility for happiness in your health is critical. Optimal health is the key. Everyone is individualized. So when someone come in, they see a blood level that might be low, but you feel great. Don't get out of it because that's for you. When it's if your blood sugar, the medication range, whatever it is, a little bit higher, like for thyroid, stay that way if you feel comfortable. No palpitation is good, but take responsibility for your own health. I like people who invested, who's reaching optimal health.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key. And forget about normality. You are individual. What's good for you and how your body's functioning.
Yeah.
That's good.
It is a challenge for a lot of folks because even as a child, I was taught, to trust my elders, and of course, doctors. I had an ophthalmologist who did many surgeries on my eyes as a kid, dentist, and so forth, dermatologist in my teen years, this kind of thing. I will say that as far as the dermatologist was concerned, yeah, I used some of the creams, but put me under that ozone light, which was supposed to help. I don't know if it did or not. All I know is I'm not there anymore, so we can move on. But we're taught to trust the medical community. We're taught to trust what they tell us. And I know that there are a lot of folks, especially after this whole virus thing, who don't. They just, and for whatever reason, either because they were told not to trust, because they were told that we were lied to about this, that, and the other thing. And I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is I am responsible for me and the information that I get. With the work that you do and the modalities that you utilize, there isn't really a library filled with information. It's all within you, right?
Totally correct. You have to realize who you are. You have to understand what you represent
Mm-hmm.
in this time in the conscious transformation. Mr. Dugan have a key point at bringing people from the third to the fourth chakra. What does the fourth chakra mean? You are responsible. You got to go inside and trust you.
Mm-hmm.
Trust you. You are responsible. Trust your instincts. Trust your intuition. We are moving up the ladder in terms of the chakra suite. So many people for many years made it the third chakra. We trust people outside rather than inside. Trust yourself. And so my book about remembering the quality of your soul is about moving inside. Joe shows about moving inside to be responsible, be respectful for yourself. And you can listen to other people, but never blame people for your action. You make the action. Who ate the food? You ate the food. Did you exercise? Yes or no? You know what you're doing. So learn to be responsible. Learn to like, love, and appreciate yourself. Then you become disciplined, do what you need to do. You push away the soda pop, you push away the cake, the nice, I like cheesecake. You push away the cheesecake. I'm like, so, don't go to New York and get the cheesecake. I say, okay, learn to say no to that,
Yeah.
But it's just being responsible. Take discipline, but I also take I like myself, so I want to be around to 100 years old. I want to come back to living. I think you already living. Some people live more in 25 years. People live in 50 years in the physical. So being present and living to 100 is fantastic. Living to 100 without being present might be miserable. Be present and enjoy with gratitude every second and living in that moment. So in that moment, you already live in eternity. And I like what you said, because we are based on medical science. We are having more centurions now. We get a lot of people all over the world living to 100 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the stories that when they're asked, so how did you learn to live so long? And especially some of the folks, for example, in Russia, where they go to interview these folks who are 100 plus and so forth. Well, I would drink a little vodka, have a cigar, and a little pierogies, and that's how I stayed. That's how I lived so long. And you sit there and you wonder, but everybody's metabolism is different, and it's not like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a shot of vodka, a little cigar smoking, and then have some Russian food, and I'll live to be 100. Yeah, and it might kill you.
Correct. I mean, if you talk to centurions all in as you say, Russia, Japan, Costa Rica, they all have different stories. But one thing's consistent with all of those. We had a meeting in Vegas where all the physicians met.
Mm-hmm.
They take responsibility for their health. Some people they select their physician if they feel can match their energy. That's across all cultures. They have that commonality. They have something they just love to do also. Mm-hmm. They love to do something, whether you like to just do that. So there were some commonalities. It doesn't matter what country you was in, that was a common theme. They had their own degree of belief about some higher force as well. So it wasn't about the drinking or the eating, the fruit, this and that. It was something consistent that all people had, and they was in tune with that. Maybe the vodka kept them relaxed. Being relaxed is the key state, you know what I'm saying? So when you relax, you don't have to worry about nothing. So you don't stress your body out. We don't know what it is, but people all over the world who centurion, all we know we're developing more in this, even this country, we are living longer and longer. But I do know being present is one of the aspects of it.
Hmm.
Being present.
Yeah.
Are you living that joy? Are you living that gratitude every day? And living gratitude and joyfulness helps you move in a relaxed state in your body. It helps you reduce to produce the endorphins, which is relaxation, internal relaxation. What are you doing that's joyful to yourself?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing to help somebody else? How does that make you feel? So it's important to have those things with that divine breath. What are you doing with it? What are you thinking? What are you doing? Do something that enhances you internally as well as the planet. Those things move towards the inner relaxation. It helps you move, increase the vibration love frequency. We come back to a universal oneness. That's source that way.
Dr. Paul Hanna is my guest, and his website is hannashholistichealing.com. I like that. hannashholistichealing.com. His book, by the way, Remembering Qualities of Your Soul, Joyfully Living Your God Self. And you, my friends, you are listening to Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and it is a pleasure to have as a returning guest Paul Hanna, who is an MD, yes. He's also an author of Remembering Qualities of Your Soul, Joyfully Living Your God Self. He is a master healer teacher, and his website, hannashholistichealing.com, is the website. One of the aspects, and of course, in the beginning of the program, we worked to define what is healing. And I think that the word optimal as opposed to normal, I think describes that, because, but even more so, as you also said, in terms of being at peace.
Yes.
And one of the things you also said was about our emotional state. Okay.
Yes.
And one of the things that I heard not too long ago, was that it seems as though, especially in regards to the media, whether it's news or television or movies, that 9 times out of 10, the general premise is an individual who is seeking justice, seeking revenge, seeking retribution. In other words, they've been done wrong and they're going to get even. I mean, we have that in the real life, in our real world, constantly. And I sit there going, and what does that serve? I mean, how is that helping to make this a better place by your seeking to get even? And I'm not saying we shouldn't seek justice where it should be and so forth. But there comes a point where, you ask yourself, if you're going to make this a better world, how in the world are you going to do that if you're stuck in having that chip on your shoulder? I mean, whether it is you've been done wrong as an individual, or let's say you've been done wrong as a race of people. You are a Black man, and your race of people, if you will, has been done wrong, specifically in this country, but around the world. This has been going on for with everybody, the Irish, the Chinese. I mean, you name one, they've been done wrong somewhere down the road. The Native Americans, whether that be North, Central, or South America, they've been done wrong. And I'm not saying that they don't have, let's say, justification for being upset and wanting justice. But doesn't that tend to hold us back from that peace that you are talking about in terms of our optimal health and wellness?
I think reactivity to the situations of being unjustly done to you can hold you back. I think being responsive to it is different. Reactive is a reactive neurological state can cause your vessels to constrict, therefore cause blood pressure problem and cause other problem. I think also the way you look at it is, what can I do to move beyond that transcend all of this? It's about transcending. It's about a balancing transcendent. So remember, quality of soul is always looking at, how did I get here? What am I doing to get out? I eliminate why. I say, what am I doing? How can I do it? When am I going to do it? Collectively speaking. And then when you start to focus that collective energy of being a divine justice versus human justice, there's a different frequency then. And you start moving that, move beyond reactive to responsive, move to the point that yes, the oneness with you in God. You also move to the point where there's no one define you except you. You don't react to what words people call you because you give them no power to call you a word. And all of those things, when you become self, and when you individualize, I call it, then you move beyond the reactive state to a state of wholeness. You have power, you have focus, you have attention, and you create your own reality beyond all alleged man obstacles. So if you react, you're correct. If you respond, it's different. But so reactivity, I get people to look at what can I do? I have divine power within me. Can I focus that power? How am I focus this power? Energy conform to your persistent thought. When you have a persistent thought, which you're feeling and you're emotional, you visualize that, you manifest that. So in your point, I would agree with the reactivity. No, mine, I'm saying responsive, you transcend that.
Yeah. And like I said before, certainly we could talk about the whole aspect of karma as well. It's okay. So you've had an injustice done unto you. Let it go. The universe will take care of it. You just have to trust the universe, because if you start getting involved and you start reacting, now you're setting up some new karma for yourself individually that you probably could have avoided by just, by letting the universe take it. I trust the universe. My wife and I, back in 2006, we both lost our jobs. I could have gotten angry and said, hey, wait a minute, you can't do this. I've been here for X number of years and, I've got the expertise and so forth, and I want to keep my job, and on and on and on. And that may not have been where the universe wanted me to be. Maybe it was time for me to move on, and we did, to Santa Barbara.
I teach that every situation have a dual lesson. The question is, you say, what is the benefit of this lesson? You ask yourself, any situation, what is the benefit? How could that enhance you? Was it time for you to leave there? And you say, I wasn't ready to leave. I don't have the same thing happen. You come into one day, you got all praise a bit of MD.
Yeah.
You say the same. They said, we don't need you. And I said, we don't need you. I said, wow, that's good. But reality is, if I look at it deeply, I'm very good at that. I was attached. And the question, don't get attached. You also would be invested, be present. When you invest to be present, you can release, because that's something. When it happens like that, something always better. The universe sees something better for you.
Yeah.
When I developed that attitude, I said, okay, so what's my next benefit? And it happened just like that. That's been my story. You get something, ask it, what's the benefit of that? The minute you react to that, you get stuck there emotionally. What they did to me, I'm doing this. No. So what you have to do is create your own future. You create it, what you decide, they can never happen again. That's another lesson for it. Create it where it can't happen. You have the mind, you have the energy. Create what you desire, because no one can say, well, we don't need you anymore. So I just tell everybody, when that happens, there's always another benefit for you, regardless of what it's seen right then and there. Let's find the benefit. Because, as a matter of fact, at least we live in a dual universe. There's an up, there's a down. There's a so-called bad, and there's a good. So what's the opposite of that? That's the first stage. How can I find that? There got to be opposite. There got to be something that's positive that we help us move forward. That's very important. Yes.
Dr. Paul Hanna is my guest, and you are listening to Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and I really enjoy these conversations with folks who are in the process of helping others to, and I'm going to use your word, the word you've used, to working to optimize their lives so that they can get on about the business of living out their life's purpose. Dr. Paul Hanna is living out his life's purpose in this regard as a master healer teacher. And by the way, just so you folks know, his website is hannasHolisticHealing.com. And of course, Hanna being his last name, hannasHolisticHealing.com. We certainly hope that you will also seek out a copy of his book through his website or through Amazon and other sources, Remembering Qualities of Your Soul, joyfully living your soul's, living your God self.
Yes.
How do you teach people to find and then joyfully live their God self? How do you teach people to find that God self?
That's a good question, starting because you said two words I want people to remember: individualize to optimize. Just remember those two words: individualize to optimize. Now, that's something to be before individualize. It's called source. What's your source? And that source energy is the beginning of you going through your transformation with the ego. So we have, let's say we got two sides: the ego side and the source side or soul side, whatever you want to call it. So once we can agree to that, I say, who wake you? What wakes you in the morning time? We agree that I woke up. There's a breath there. I call it divine breath. No, you also have a faculty that's supposed to separate us from all the other things on this planet, our mind. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Most people don't really know how to think and focus. So because their mind is very scattered. So since your mind is scattered, you get scattered life. So you get up to that point or realize that they have at least two aspects of themselves: the ego side and the divine side. A lot of people are so attracted to the sensation through the media, social media, all about the ego self. And it's very high. Unless you have some focus, you get caught outside. This is the way I use it: outside. You never inside yourself. So you're always trying to keep up, be whatever it is, and you get distracted. So what did I do to help with that is we start with breath. So breath is the key. The most important thing in anybody's life, the priority thing is their breath. I don't care. So you can't say your family, your wife, your husband. No, it's not. No. Without breath, you go to spirit reality. You're not here. So remember, breath is the key. What's next is your thought. Why that? Because you can transform energy. What energy you want to transform? That's divine energy. Okay. So I started 3-step like that. We started going in on those stages like that. And everybody gets stuck at a different stage. One, clarifying what it is. Two is about the breath. I went to Dubai about 3 weeks ago, and my patient asked me, well, Dr. Hanna, give me some medication because I can't ride the plane, you know. I said, you can't get on the plane. Can you give me a benzodiazepine? I said, no, I'm not giving you a benzodiazepine. I'm not giving no Xanax, nothing like this. Why not? I'm gonna teach you how to breathe. Breath can calm down your nerve, calm you down, so you can learn how to focus your mind. So I taught her some breathing techniques. And she got back. She said, guess what? It works. I know. But if I gave you a Xanax, if I gave you an Ativan or a Clonopin, anything, you'd have been dependent upon that. No one ever died from a panic attack. Even though you think you're having a heart attack, if you go to the emergency room, they do the blood test, EKG, they say it's quite normal, but I feel like I'm like, no. So you got to get the carbon dioxide out of your body so you feel relaxed. So I teach breath for two reasons: for relaxation and calmness. Then you get calm. You can like receive another thought. The way the universe made it, without relaxation, there's no, you can't receive nothing. Even in like you plant some, I don't know, you have gardens out there, you want to plant a seed, you got to relax the seed, the earth, before you can plant the seed. And also the same thing, the sporium in the air, got to be a relaxation and penetration. But you want knowledge, you must have a relaxed mind to receive, so I can plant something. So the first stage is relaxation of your mind to receive. And receive, it doesn't just mean intellectual receive, that's head receive. I want a heart receive. The heart is open to receive. The head can analyze it. Why does feel of this? Can I get someone to relax and penetrate their heart with an essence of their call of their soul? Then we can talk deeper. So the first stage is to realize there's two. Number one, breath is priority, and what you go think about. And once one can like visualize their own self, and then they can emotionalize it, then they can live that way. But those are the first 2 steps that I teach people.
We're talking with Dr. Paul Hanna, and you are listening to Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and I thank you so much for staying with us here on the program. If you are looking at the YouTube video, You're going to notice that I may have changed shirts halfway through this interview. Well, there's a good reason for that. This is, we'll call it a two-parter from the standpoint that Dr. Paul Hanna and I have been challenged by schedules and so forth. I have to tell you, folks, that you need to touch base with this gentleman, one of the most patient individuals that I have had the pleasure of interviewing. And I thank you for being back with us here on the program. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this aspect of this aspect of what we are going through and what you and I have just been through, which is, for me, it's unusual. I'm usually very punctual, and I'm also very attentive to schedules and so forth. But for whatever reason, and I've always believed this, Dr. Hanna, that when there's a challenge facing me in regards to getting an interview not only scheduled, but even finished in this case, that just means that this latter portion is going to be really, really good. Talk to us about why it's important for us to maintain a semblance of balance and equanimity, so to speak, within ourselves, even when this stuff, I mean, I could have gotten really, not freaked out, but I could have gotten very anxious, maybe even gotten into a car accident just getting to the radio station if I tried to rush it, which I also find interesting too. The universe tends to put that out there. But talk to us about why that's important to find a way to maintain that level of equilibrium.
I think it's always it's important to have balance. And the balance is become more stable, we have more clarity. And sometimes when we're rushing through things, we blunder. Rushing, what is behind the rush? What part of your rush is your ego part or your divine part? You don't have to be in a rush with the divine aspect of you. Ego, we get up to that. I got to be that. I got to do this. And you're right. You could have been in a car accident, but being patient, being balanced. In any opposition, you look at that with gratitude. With the gratitude, you say, well, what comes out of it? You and I prove two things. One, we're patient, we're also very flexible. And flexibility is another thing, meaning that you're alive. Anything that's dead is rigid. So we had flexibility, we had patience, we had all of that. We also maintained being calm. So all of this to manifest right now. And this nowness, who are listening right now, we could talk about taking those pearls. I don't have to rush when the divine. I don't have to be in that rat race. I can maintain my balance. I can maintain my clarity. I can maintain my flexibility, which is all important. So I encourage people when they're dealing with, when I say shine, glow, flow, to glow, you have to align your mental, emotional, physical, spirit, body. If not, you get out of whack. You get onto your ego mind rather than another mind. So all your minds, all your bodies must be aligned to bring your balance. So here we're talking about balance. Here we're talking about flexibility. Here we're talking about this knowing it's all will be okay. And it is right now.
Yeah. I want to ask you about, you're a Qigong master. Are there any basic, simple movements that you can share with us? Let's say I'm sitting at a red light and I'm going, come on, come on, come on, and just want, and gotta move. And I know better. I mean, it's the intellect that's going, hey, knock it off. But the emotions are still going, come on, come on, come on. Is there anything within that practice, that teaching that you can share with us that maybe we could use, let's just say, at that red light?
Yes. You sitting there in the physical form because of your breath. Without breath, you go to the spirit world. So I use breath to help regulate your emotions, to regulate your breathing. So let's say you're at the red light, a stoplight, whatever you call it there. How long can you hold your breath?
Maybe 30 seconds at the most.
That's good. Then exhale out for 35 seconds. Then do it again. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. It's always shift that, because the more the carbon dioxide builds up, the more anxious and frustrated you become. So if you hold your breath, then exhale, a lot of the carbon dioxide goes up, you get more oxygen to your brain. That can calm you down. You say, just hold your breath. I teach that for a lot of people. They want to travel overseas, like France, Dubai, whoever it might be. They're afraid. They want me to give them some benzodiazepine, be it Ativan, Xanax, and I say that won't happen with me.
Hmm.
I will not give you some Ativan or Xanax or Klonopin, those kind of medications right now because I can teach you breathing.
Hmm.
So I teach that in those kind of situations with panic attacks, stoplights, or whatever it is, how to use your breath. Most people don't know how to use their should I call it dantian, the lower belly. And when you breathe through the dantian, your breath goes down, you hold it. I mean, you inhale, it's like it goes like a balloon, and hold it there as long as you can. Then exhale. When you exhale, all the carbon dioxide is coming out, therefore you become more relaxed. Also, that is the technical thing. Also, mindset. Where you are supposed to be, you are. So why am I here right now? Why am I in this spot right now? And in the divine sense, you could have been protected. If you kept going, you could have an accident. So you're always being protected by something. But your mind, you might not recognize it. Why am I like this? We're meeting right now. Say, wait, you know what? We can make this happen today. The flexibility, turn it around, is turning out to be well. But you need the patience to understand what's the higher message in this thing. So I'm talking about breath. I'm talking about the higher message because we all got something around us protecting us. You guys slow down. Yeah, you guys slow down.
That's
So
interesting that you put it that way, that we have something around us that is protecting us, but we have to allow it to protect us.
yes, sometimes it is stop. You guys stop. You have to literally stop. You know, like a kid from a kid. You know, eating too much candy. You say, wait a minute. You got to protect the kid. Otherwise, you're prone to having a problem with the dental or metabolic diabetes or obesity, energy levels, so many things. But you got to protect. We have protection also. So engage your protector angels all the time, sir. Always look at that. What is the higher message? We are in the Earth School, and everything we do every day is a lesson. The question: are you learning your lesson? If you don't learn your lesson, you repeat it.
Mm.
So once you relearn something, you graduate. It doesn't happen again. You graduate from situations, you graduate from institutions, you graduate from people because the frequency has changed. You cannot go back to college now or high school now because you graduated. They say, well, so life teaches us things to help become one with our own divine self. Every day we have a lesson. Every day, Mr. Duke become a teacher. Every day, Mr. Duke become a student. Look for the lesson. What are you teaching? So you must recognize your higher self is to look down at your physical best. What are you doing? Why are you so red and red? What's going on right here?
Mhm.
You are disrupting yourself. You're gonna cause problem with your health, wherever it might be, you know, because your ego you want to get there.
Yeah.
That's the ego mind. So you know the ego is very, very competitive. Whereas the spiritual mind is create a corporation. You don't have to compete. It's already enough for everybody. People never look at it like that. They still feel like got to compete. Who are you competing with? Your different bodies within yourself competing. You get frustrated, you get irritated, and people might get angry. Then when you get angry, well, how can you calm yourself down? Some people drink, some people do drugs, some people do all kinds of things, trying to calm down from the outside when they can use their breath from inside. So I'm saying use your breath, respect your angels that's protecting you, and realize, why am I in such a big hurry in the first place?
That's
And so,
interesting because a lot of people, as you've very well said, they just don't know how to breathe. But that
well,
always seems to be a real focal point for a lot of folks who I've had on this program. It always comes back to that. And it's to me, that is it's kind of strange to phrase it this way. That is a testament to the fact that we don't know how to breathe.
that's correct. Most people, that's why I like Qigong is very powerful in trying to, you're using the primary energy, your breath.
Mm,
Isn't that it?
mm,
Breath is the only reason you and I sitting here talking right now. Do we have gratitude for our breath? Wake up in the morning and say, damn, I have divine breath. I'm breathing. Do you really understand how powerful that is? Now, the next thing of it is, you should think about, well, what about thinking?
mhm.
The only thing that can change this energy is your thought process. If you look around, you're seeing frustration, you're seeing anger, all of that, you send it out there. You're in a hurry, you're competing with something. I got to do this, but relax.
Mm,
It all would be there.
yeah.
You cannot, it's so much abundance in this universe, we can't take it all. So why the hurry? Now,
Yeah.
why am I in a hurry? And you say, well, that's a good question. You have to answer that question, but realize it's all there. As long as you're moving towards it in a real, genuine way, towards that goal, towards that real thing. So when you wake up in the morning, I got divine breath. What am I thinking? Am I thinking about purification? of my own bodies? Am I thinking about unification? Am I thinking about harmonization that I can harmonize with myself or your family or whoever you're dealing with? You must ask that question every day you get up. What is my day to move forward to my divine self? So you either go into divine or the ego mind. You had to make up your mind which one you're focused on. Because in the quantum physics, whatever you focus on will manifest because your thoughts on it. You will bring that energy to you. So every day, I ask people, you are responsible for your health. You're responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for your harmony. Are you practicing H3 every day? Every day. Well, I have to breathe because I'm taking up my radiant health. That leads my happiness. I'm in harmony. And when you're in harmony with yourself, you can harmonize with somebody else. You cannot harmonize with someone and you're out of contact with yourself. It's still possible. We have these temporary relationships because they're on the personality. That's why the divorce rate is so high. People don't know how to harmonize. They personalize. You can never work, you can never win because people change over, So the question is, can we do this? Every day, Mr. Dugan, ask the question. I really have gratitude for my breath.
Remembering Qualities of Your Soul is his latest work, along with I believe this is Qigong Awakens. And that's really what you're talking about here is that very thing is awakening that energy. I know that in different parts of the world and different practices, we have these teachings that are there. I mean, I myself, because of the books that I have read and my metaphysical primer, Autobiography of a Yogi, I think about, for example, the Kundalini energy going up and down the spine, but it also does take, you've got to master, so to speak, master the breath.
Yes.
And we like to think that we all breathe. It's just that somehow, some way we have forgotten. I'm curious, an infant that's being born, that infant at that moment coming out of the mother's womb into our world, if you will, does that infant know how to breathe? Is it breathing the way it's supposed to, whether it's crying or otherwise? And then somewhere along the way, we, the world, teach it how not to breathe.
Yeah, they teach us to become too civilized, which is just the opposite of natural breathing. Civilized breathing is up in your chest. And when the baby come in, naturally, they know how to breathe from the dantian, or the lower belly. That's why up to 7 have so much energy. They still breathing from there. Then some kind of way, you're right. After the first 7 years, the soul cycle kind of closed. Then we're going into another cycle. But yes, they breathe from the dantian. And that's what we do in Tai Chi. We breathe from the lower dantian. We have 3 dantians, below the navel, in the heart, and right here at the third eye. Those are 3 dantians we focus on. But really, most people focus on the lower dantian because you want to bring the fire down. And, come down and the water come up. That's what you mean by meditation. Another form of meditation, that's the whole goal, is to bring the fire to your heart and bring the water up your spine. And that's what happens. We focus on the lower dantian to make sure the fire come down, come to the water, yes. But that was it.
I was going to say, because we are a bit short on time for the wrap-up of this interview, I don't want to belabor you from your set schedule. And again, I applaud you and I thank you so much for your patience. And I'm glad that we were able to make this happen. I'm thinking that I would love to have you back to go through some of the, whether it's Tai Chi, whether it's Qigong, it's all leading towards the same, shall we say, goal, although there really isn't a goal per se, but it is of achieving a balance in one's life, an equilibrium in one's life. And it doesn't mean that we become automatons and emotionless and all of those kinds of things. I would love to have you back to maybe dive into that particular area.
Okay, we can do that.
All right. And this time, this time when we set it up. I will be ready. But before we wrap up, I would like to ask you those three final questions I ask all of my guests. And again, our time is going by very fast. So I'll just jump right in and say the first question I have for you, not who is Dr. Paul Hanna, who is Paul Hanna?
Catalyst. It's a catalyst for expansion. A catalyst for expansion. See, Mr. Dugan, in your role, no one has your thumbprint. You're a very unique man. We all are unique. Out of the 8 billion, no one has your thumbprint. So myself, I am a catalyst for expansion to the universal oneness. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Forget all titles. No MDs, JDs, my master, forget all of that. What I am, I'm breathing a catalyst. When I come in, how can I expand people to their authentic self? I'm about that. That's what I want.
Just a side note, my mother told each one of us 6 kids that we were each unique. And when we found out that she had shared that with each one of us, we kind of looked at each other and ourselves and going, oh, okay, maybe I'm not. But the reality is she was telling the truth.
She was telling the truth.
Telling the truth.
Yes.
What is your life's purpose?
And again, my purpose is to remember totally the divine so I could shine and expand more. I'm here to learn and refine and expand. That's my purpose. And that is, I joyfully connect with people. I joyfully send love to people. I'm humble to learn from people. As I do, the more humble become, more the universe put in me. I mean, I'm teaching this morning, Tai Chi and Sabakwa Chan. Things come very refined, how I connect with the people that will maximize them. You can teach 20 people in the same room, but everyone learns different. A master teacher must be able to connect with the uniqueness of that individual, but it can maximize the integration of their own with the movement. So that's what I would say for me.
And finally, what was your best day?
Today.
I get that a lot. I get that a lot. Again, I thank you so much for everything that has brought this program finally to fruition, but also has opened the door for the next one that we're going to deal with on this aspect, not only of the breath, but of Tai Chi, Qigong, and whatever other practices that you want to bring into the mix to help people. And again, you've already given us one very, very valuable lesson in breathing. And I'm going to put that to task because I've got, as we all do, a very full plate. And so again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
And I thank you for joining us here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, as we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And until our next broadcast, podcast, video cast, love Talal. Jeanette, I am listening. And Dad, be happy, because I am.